So I didn't want to do this, but it really felt like people really wanted to see it for reference. So if you guys disagree, you should keep on playing the class. Now, again, disclaimer, what this thing is based on I played for this until time, Port or Gunlancer, play a con hard, all this stuff. Everyone keeps saying, Albert, can you make a tier list? Can you make a tier list? Tier list, what causes people to have fights. So this particular thought process of what I have is, again, every single class is okay. They have no problem beating it. I have never seen a class that is like sad. There are maybe some classes that are pretty close, but when they play with me on like a con hard or whatever, any other raid, they have no problems. They have no problems. So again, before you guys look at it, I think you guys should just look at it for fun, because I can be completely wrong. Because how can I know like every single class? Because I have literally played with every single characters, actually. Not played myself, but like you see players playing it, and then you see how they do, all these things. Okay, but I think I could be somewhere in terms of a good reference point, that if someone is purely asking a question of I get asked all the time, it's more opinions the better. It's just my opinion, because I wanted to take a different approach for 2023. So sorry for getting this longer, because I kind of want to talk about this for a long time before we start, because I don't want no misunderstandings. Everyone's dodging this because they don't want to get in terms of like, they don't be in the center of the attention. I don't want to either, because people fight all the time, but it should really be based on skills. But at the same time, like obviously the first thing that you say is like, you take the screenshot when it's done, you post it on Reddit. The first post is going to be like, you guys still watch this guy? That's gonna be like the first comment. It's gotta be something like that. He's not even good. Hey, they're just gonna say he's not even good at the game. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I think about this game based on the experiences I played and the countless hours and countless bros I've played and the classes that I've tried out. I played 8, I have all 24, and it is time to do it before we get the balance patch, okay? So we have Scouter over here. Now, we're gonna put this in temporary, okay? Now, we have Emperor Arcana is up here for a second. We're gonna talk about it more. Just give me 1 second, okay? So, before how the tier list works, it has to be this one. If the question is taking off utility, not as important, as in like, if your goal is getting MVP, if your goal is doing the most damage of the money that you have spent, okay? So Gunlancer, if you think of having a raid being easier, they have to be up here. Does that make sense, guys? Because having a Gunlancer in a party makes raid so much easier, and they always take Gunlancer. So I'm just having a thought process of like, am I supposed to, should I make a tier list of most damage, or should I make a tier list of considering all the utilities as well? Because if you count in all the considering of the utilities, the problem is they get hidden up there too, because overall it's not accurate. Therefore, this particular tier list is going to be straight up damage only. Let's see, Reaper should be above. Surge is up here. This is what I think. This class is just up here. There's a big fat wall. This is a great wall. Great wall, okay? These 4 classes: Barrage, Artillerist, Emperor's Arcana, Emperor Arcana, and then High Elemental. What is it? What do you guys call this? Yeah, Master Summoner. Now you have a big fat wall between these 4 classes. Meaning, if you have a certain amount of situation, you just can't beat these 4 classes. In a certain situation, in terms of just pure DPS, you can't beat these classes. You just can't do it. That's why I added a big fat wall. This is what I'm saying. This is based on my experience of seeing multiple different people. Again, the reason why I kept saying disclaimer, if you don't agree, it's fine. Because this is based on the runs that I do every 8 times of bros every week. And all the icons that I do every week. And every single classes of people that I meet. And based upon all the builds that people bring. And how much performance that they actually bring. Now, this is under here. Geospong Noodle's better than Drizzle, I think, because it's just how much easier it is to do. And this class is just slower. The surge here is really high because the amount of damage that you do, the amount of effort, it just does that much more. And now here it becomes like the fun part, right? From this point on, I might just group everything together more because to me they're like all the same. They're like all the same to me. Like every one of these class here, all the same. They're all the same. And then you have another kind of thing that like it's the same, but like they do kind of feel a little off, right? Which is these two. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna group it even bigger. Now this is funny. This is called the OP officer. Since there are so many fucking trolls in Gunslinger, it's a gatekeeper of OPness. If it's above Peacemaker, it's OP. If it's below Peacemaker, they're like all the same. That's how the argument always goes. That's how the argument always goes. GS is always the goddamn benchmark. Gunslinger has always been the benchmark. This is better. OP benchmark. This is basically off of my experience, chat, so I'll take this out. The reason why this is above here is because every class here is always getting compared by Peacemaker, by they saying they should get nerfed because they do too much damage. Every class here, they always complain that Peacemaker is doing more damage than me. They're always the target of attention of OPness benchmark police. This is really the OP benchmark police officer. Now it becomes the harder part because I don't even know how to do it. I think Control is better than Pinnacle. Moon does more than Thirst, but Thirst has more utility. Gotta think about it more for a second. I'm missing something. So we have so you have the big officer here. We have the TTH, EO. You got them up here, but I kind of want to group them up together though. Yeah, they're all the same to me, dude. They're all the same to me. And I think these guys are all the same too. And these guys are all the same. There. So we don't have a D. These guys cannot beat these guys of any circumstances. If you have the exact, and these guys can't beat these guys. That's how I'm gonna do the tier list. Because I have never seen it. Of the hundreds of games that I play, I have never seen these guys beat these guys, and these guys beat these guys. And if you say, but the thing is, sometimes you guys see, oh, I beat this guy with I beat this, you know, with my Pinnacle, whatever. I beat you know, a striker. Well, it's a skill issue. This is what it is. And the problem is the Western game is not as close as what we have right here in Korea. So that's another point too. And then set bonuses, and also we need to put the thing on synergy, right? And if you have a spec bard, etc. There's so many variables, and if I want to group all the variables together, and if I think a certain thing is like different, it is what I think it is. So I'm just trying to figure this out of how I can group it properly so that there's no too much fighting, right? But this is why there's ABC here. It feels too divided. So because like I think all of this here is exactly the same to me. I have no problem playing with them, and I have no problem like when they apply. But these three here, they usually get gatekeeped. And these here, I haven't even seen them. Like I see it like once every month. Actually seen gate kicked. There you go. This is actually better. This is the sad truth though. Not enough data. But shit. I really want to put sharpshooter here, but sharpshooter never get gatekeeped. Dude, I honestly think this is as close as it gets. Now let's talk about this, chat. This is the, how many S's is this? S tier. For example, these classes, anything below, you can't beat them. In the same environment, same player, and based on the overall performance that they deliver within the recent raids. And this is Barrage Artillerist, this is Empress Arcana, this is Emperor Arcana, oh, Master Summoner, yeah, Master Summoner. And then we have a big fat wall. The reason why I added a big fat wall is because these class just feels different. They're just in another dimension. It feels like these 4 classes are in another dimension to me. But it feels like I could put her here. But this is, so Emperor could be here. But the reason why I put Emperor here is because it's not researched enough. It's based on luck too, right? So kind of go like back and forth too. But like if she plays in a certain way, it just does so much. Put it on the big fat wall. Yeah. So you guys are, for the players that are saying TIE is equal to Shock, I have to disagree to that, because they all, to me, they're both the same to me. I think Shock has been like oversold way too much. The thing is, if you watch Zeals play Shock, of course it will look OP because he spent so much money on it. The reason why I think Shock and TIE is about the same is because we have someone that we see every day. We see Foss every day. I play with Foss every day. I can't tell a difference when he plays Shock or TIE, because he does still the same thing to me. That's why I'm saying it's exactly the same. He plays both Shock and TIE, about the same build too. And to me, the DPS pie that he takes, to me it seems the same. That's why I'm like grouping it together. Here's the thing. Remember this list? This is also based on the stuff that we talked about. As in, so when a raid, let's take Valton for an example. Valton does before he does a headbutt, you can attack him, but people are, you know, standing still, etc., whatever. But you have, Valton has like a cutscene, right? And Valton, you can do DPS in Valton. He does a cutscene. So this X mark is where he is invincible. And you have the other option here. And then you have the mark here, right? So what your goal is, within this time frame, which is around like 3 bubble, right? You have 3 bubbles here. You have all these things here. And you have this much time. Therefore, if you're playing a consistent class, this is what you do. And then if you have burst, this is what you do, right? So by the time that you have a certain amount of DPS in, if this burst goes above a certain point to initiate this particular cutscene, what happens is the consistent DPSers cannot do any DPS. So let's say, so again, we're going to this, we're going to talk about this pie method again. So when you have a pie, so we call it DPS pie in Korea. When you have a pie here, and when you're eating the pie with a small spoon and something like a shock, something like a shock scrapper, they take like half portion of the pie, while a scrapper is trying to eat it with a spoon. So that's why in terms of paper, it does look better. But when you look at the whole raid in a big standpoint, they're about the same to me. It's not about you beating an MVP in gate 1 or gate 2 or gate 3. It's about the whole feeling of the raid. If this particular class has better potential of outputting more DPS to a point that if they feel like it, they can beat you. Alright, chat. We had a lot of fun here, so let's review it for the video, okay? I think I'm a lot wrong here, but in my experience though, playing with a bunch of different people and talking to a bunch of different people, this is probably the most grouped up thing that I can have. It could be a little bit of fun side for you guys, but if I review it one more time, a little bit, a lot, yes, a little bit, a lot. You kind of say it in the gray area. So to wrap it up, Barrage here. So this is Barrage, Artillerist, Empress Arcana, and Master Summoner, right? You can't beat these guys in DPS if you just have the certain circumstances. And I wanted to put this over here, but there's not enough data for this particular class. But this class itself as well is very good, to a point that like even equalized content. This class's kit is so good. It's just that it's very extremely hard to play with a lot of piano. Some of you guys might be upset. So like, well, I don't know why you guys are upset, but the Ignition Sorceresses, they're very strong too, but in a specific play, you just can't beat these guys in the same environment. It just doesn't work. I've never seen it happen. I've actually never seen it happen, and it's shown it in multiple streams that I've showed you the build for it. One time, this guy was lower eye level than Ignition. He still beat him. And even in back and forth though, same item level. Well, Ignition Sorcerer beat us sometimes. Maybe it's based off of support. Maybe it's based off of how many Doomsdays they missed. Maybe it's skill difference. There are too many variables. However, on the sheer number of players that I've seen these days, of the popularity of Barrage Artillerists is being skyrocketed for Gate 4 of Akan, and the overall performance that they bring every time they do it. And every time I play a support, this is actually even better, because if you actually play a support, you know which class is doing damage because the bar actually moves. For example, when these guys are hitting the boss, they don't even remove one bar. If these guys are transformed and firing lasers, 2-3 bars are disappearing. Like, they're like melting. That's a big difference. You can see, if you give them a 3 bubble to a certain class, you can see the bar moving, even though there are 8 players. So within this group, the reason why this is a big group too, is I don't want you guys to get confused. This is not ranking. So this can be like here, this can be like here, whatever. These guys are all the same to me, because if I move them around to a different group, all it does is cause fights, unnecessary fights. So obviously within these group, some classes are better. For example, Ignition Sources is obviously better than certain classes here, right? I think Ignition Sources is better than Shock Scrapper, to be honest. And EO is better than RE, and people can say EO is better than Robust, and Robust is better than EO. This is unnecessary fighting, because again, with this game, it has too many variables. This is why people always fight. They always have DPS competitions and all these different things. But within this group, they're in another group. That's what tier list is. If the tier list has too many levels of tier, it's skeptical. It's weird. I don't want you guys to fight. That's the thing, because every class in this particular here, they have no problem killing a Khan hard, and they don't get why is Gunslinger here. The reason why Gunslinger is here is because Gunslinger has always been the goddamn center of attention when people are talking about OP-ness, right? OP, is my class OP? Is my class bad? Gunslinger's always in the goddamn middle because we have so many populations for Gunslinger, and Gunslinger has so many variables where if you are good or bad, right? You know, you have different builds, you have 7M, you have 6M, whatever. A cracked Gunslinger can't even beat most people here. A cracked Gunslinger. But a shitty Gunslinger, they're down here. I could be a shitty Gunslinger here, or I could be a cracked up Gunslinger here. But no matter how cracked up I am, I can't beat these three. This is why it's called a big fat wall. So this doesn't mean that it's better than this class. So this is technically the same group, but Gunslinger is just here because they are always the goddamn center of attention. Yeah, so this wraps up to my fun talk of talking about some tiers, man. Talking about some DPSs. I had a lot of fun talking about particularly much on my El Cheapo classes. But overall, if some of you guys are upset about this, I apologize in advance. But this is for fun's sake, and this is based on my experiences. You don't have to follow this particular thing. You guys should play the classes that you like to play. If you're happy about this, that's good. If you're not happy about it, oh well. What's more important here is always about your uptime. It's always about your uptime, always about your synergy, and always about party coordination to actually move things around within the group. But generally, in terms of average, I've seen on all my rates, this is pretty much what I see all the time. All right. With that being said, boys, this concludes the video. I don't know how the editor is going to edit all of this, but I think we had a lot of fun, so it could be like a multiple section before PTR changes come in. All right, boys. See ya. Bye-bye.